Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, a new brand episode of Pro Wrestling Culture. My name Aldo Fiadone, and here with me the special guest of the evening, the BWR Champion, ladies and gentlemen, Scotty Rawk. Hi, Scotty. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, man. How are you?
Very, very good. Very, very good. Thank you for being here. Absolutely.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, my man. Especially after coming back recently from Milan and having a couple of
Yeah.
weeks. Still traveling, still grafting, still wrestling all over Europe. But yeah, to come on this podcast, yeah, no, it's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. So about that show in Milan, what are your thoughts on Milan Wrestling Federation and your show, your match in the opening of Occasione d'Oro 2024?
Yeah, so Milan Wrestling Federation. What an evening! Honestly, that show was incredible. The crowd were hot. The talent on that card were some of the best I'd seen in Europe. I was really blown away by the product and the scene in Italy. Like I got talking to some of the guys sort of behind the scenes, some of the guys that had been there for quite a few years and had sort of helped grow the Italian scene into what it is today. And they said that it's still quite fresh and still up and coming, but pulling sort of 500-600 people into a venue is no easy task. So yeah, I think they absolutely blew it out of the water. I thought it was an incredible show.
And in your opinion, after your part in this show, after all that you saw during that evening, in your opinion, there is a chance for us here in Italy to have a big boom for professional wrestling like the British wrestling 12 years ago?
I think so. I think so, definitely. British wrestling wasn't always like it is today. It went through a real down period. It went through a real lull where there wasn't a lot happening sort of towards the late 90s and the early 2000s. The only shows that we really had in the UK from me being like a child was the parody shows or the imitation shows where you had like fake Kane and fake
Yeah.
Undertaker. We used we used to poke fun. We used to call him the Underfaker. So that was quite a slow time for British wrestling. And then yeah, like you say, I think sort of in the last maybe even 10 years, 10 to 15, it's really boomed and blossomed, and I think that's down to the level of talent in this country, the level of training schools in this country, and just true grit and determination to really plow everything we can into the products that we put out there.
Personally, I think Rev Pro is one of the greatest companies around the Europe and in particular in Britain. So, but during the boom, we saw many great matches and storylines in Rev Pro, Progress, etc. And you also wrestle in Rev Pro. What is the status of in these companies like Rev Pro and Progress right now? Because all of us know about the COVID era, the pandemic era, and that was a terrific moment for the entire wrestling business, in particular in Britain, because we lived the COVID era, and a few months later the speaking out movement. So very tragic moment for the entire scenario.
Yeah, I think coming out of the pandemic was a real sort of do or die moment for British wrestling. Obviously, we
Yeah.
had a hell of a lot to process and deal with, and we wanted to make sure that we came back after COVID in the right way with the right people. As you say, you mentioned they're speaking out, so like I feel like it gave us that opportunity to reset almost as a culture, as a scene, as a movement, really, and sort of get rid of some of the, you know, some of the bad news and some of the garbage that was kind of polluting the scene, I guess. But yeah, coming out of COVID, I feel like British wrestling really hit its second wind, especially for the company that I came to represent, BWR, British Wrestling Revolution. Like you mentioned, sort of Progress and Rev Pro. They are based in the south. They're based sort of around London and the southern coast of the UK, and they are regarded as some of the best promotions in this country to work for, and they produce some of the best products that British wrestling sees. However, on the flip side of that, there is almost a divide between the south and the north. So BWR, for example, I would say is on a similar page to being as good as your Progress in regards to production value, in regards to the products that we're creating. The fact that we are now coming up to our 7th year, and throughout those 7 years, we have consistently sold out every venue that we have ever run. And that's
probably BWR, BWR are great like the weight of the title belt.
Yeah, people come to those shows to see that belt and to feel how heavy that belt is. It's a real weight. Getting that through customs and getting that on planes, it's a nightmare
and
at times.
that is beautiful belt. Absolutely.
It is. I am literally carrying that company on my back.
Literally. So, in the last few years, the entire wrestling web mentions about forbidden doors, collaborations between companies like AEW, New Japan, WWE, TNA, and many more. So, you wrestling in a show between TNT Wrestling and GCW. The GCW is probably the new copy of ECW of 20 years ago, a real extreme wrestling, another type of wrestling. Okay, in this moment, we saw many different products. In particular, for WWE with Raw and SmackDown, a real entertainment show. In AEW with Dynamite, a truly wrestling show. In TNA, a mix of the two that I mentioned before. But what is your favorite show? Do you prefer the entertainment? Do you prefer wrestling, or both of them?
So I have always been a TNA kid. I've always been about a great product and a great storyline and some great entertainment that is also mixed in with some great wrestling, whether that is technical wrestling, whether that is comedy wrestling, whether it's indie wrestling, whatever. Tag wrestling is one of my favorite types of wrestling. I think it's a true art. And I think TNA does some of those things better than anyone else. And the fact that they're still sort of, when you compare them, the smaller company of the WWE and of AEW as well, like they've been producing a consistently good product for 20 years. And as I say, I've followed that from being a child. And if it wasn't for TNA and if it wasn't for the X division, I don't think I'd be a wrestler today.
Like Will Ospreay, your career is similar.
Yeah, completely. I think in the UK as well, TNA was available on like a cheaper network. It was available more. It was more attainable for lower income households to watch and follow a wrestling product. Whereas the WWE, you had to be subscribed to Sky. And in my household, that wasn't something that we could ever afford. So I was able to follow TNA sort of week in, week out. I remember the likes of the Christian Coalition and the Main Event Mafia. Like
Angle Alliance, Main Event Mafia,
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm also truly TNA fan, and that time was epic. And right now, this reborn moment is also another great time for the TNA history. But for British wrestling, okay, when I think about British wrestling, I think of Rev Pro, Progress, and my first impression is wow, great wrestling, great matches. But there is a chance for you to see in the future, in the next 10 years, a company like probably TNA with a weekly television show with more stories, with more without internet, only with television, a real wrestling and entertainment product from
I agree.
a company in England.
I agree. I think certainly the the demand is there. I think
Yeah,
certainly there's a market for that, and it's a real shame because the wrong people I think have tried to tap into that market, and it's never really worked out. That's the main issue there. So I don't know if you're familiar with a company that is now no longer running anymore, and it's sort of a bit of a bad name, bit of a dirty name, and that's 1PW. But what they
yeah,
did do right and what they did do well is they showed the entire of the UK that creating that product and tapping into a mainstream fan base that wanted that content. They wanted good stories. They wanted weekly shows. They wanted to be able to tune in and see the British wrestling on the telly because it's portrayed in such a professional way. Yeah, there's definitely a market there. I think it just comes down to having the right people in the right positions to do so. Because in that instance, the owner of the company was definitely not the right person for the job.
yeah. And you are the champion, the face. You carried the BWR on your shoulders. But how is important that for you?
Oh, it's so important for me. Obviously, holding a title belt or being a champion for any company is a big responsibility. By
Responsibility, yeah,
being
yeah,
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 by being someone's champion, you are the face of their product. You are the face of their company. Whether that is a tag champion and you are the face of their tag division, or whether that is their main champion and you're the face of their main product. And at the minute, like I'm lucky enough to be a champion in multiple companies, but because BWR is my home, BWR is my hometown, homegrown promotion that I've been there since day dot. I've been there from the beginning, and I've helped build, I've helped create, and I've been able to go out there, and especially in the last few months where I've traveled overseas and defended that title,
yeah,
um, signifying it as an actual legitimate world title and making sure that my hometown promotion is
yeah,
regarded as one
yeah.
of the most reputable companies and recognized worldwide. It's been incredible. Honestly, there's been a couple of emotional moments where it's like I'm not just doing it for me, but I'm doing it for every single person that has put time, effort, money, blood, sweat, tears into a company that I love so much that I have helped build with my own two hands.
Yeah. I think it's time for my last question because is the most important, in my opinion. What is your goal? Your goal for your career after all that you said for the BWR, but not only for the future of BWR, for your entire career.
For for a long time, I
Yeah,
thought that my goal was sign a contract. I thought my
yeah,
goal
yeah,
was if you don't put pen to paper, if you don't sign that contract, you haven't made it. But taking a little bit of a step back and some of the experiences that I've had over even the last 6 months has shown me that signing a contract isn't the be all and end all that some people may think it is. I am really, really happy and really, really excited to explore parts of the world and visit new places, meet new people, and entertain wherever I am. And wrestling is allowing me to do that. Wrestling is taking me around the world, and I think that is incredible. So I think for me, obviously, I'm quite regular now in France. I'm obviously regular in the UK. I've been asked to go back to Poland, where I first wrestled Speedball Mike Bailey. And I think it's on the cards definitely to come back to Milan. So just ticking more boxes and crossing out more countries, adding more flags to the Instagram bio, you know what I mean? And just taking that time to appreciate what I have in front of me and the opportunities that I'm gifted. That is my goal, I guess. I want to wrestle all over the world, be it as an independent star or be it signed to a big contract. I want to be able to explore and entertain.
Being happy with your biggest question, your biggest passion.
Yeah,
Simple.
absolutely. My thing is if I get to the point where I feel like I can't wrestle anymore, I want to be able to look back and think, wow, I've done some amazing things.
Yeah. So someone said wrestling is more than one royal family. I think after your words, wrestling is more than one simple contract. So
absolutely. There are some people that are born to work and be WWE superstars, and there are other people that are born to be independent stars. And I don't think anyone should be looked down on for not being one or the other. You know what I mean? Wrestling at its purest core, and when I think wrestling is the best, is when it's a variety show. You know, whether that's one independent show where you see hardcore wrestling, you see comedy wrestling, tags, multi-man, cruiserweights, heavyweights, in across all genders. So to be able to see that across the independents as well as the big deal companies as well, I think as long as you love what you do, you're on to a winner.
Absolutely. Scotty, thank you very much for your time. Absolutely. And my real words, I wish you the best, the real best for your career, for your future. I saw your talent in Milan during Occasione d'Oro in MWF, and I think you are awesome. So I wish you the best. And why not one day in England with a TNA UK tour? We will see you there against Leon Slater or anyone else. So
hell yeah. No, thank you so much, and I hope it's not too long before I see you again in Italy, in Milan.
I hope so. Thank you very much, Scotty. See you next
Thank you
time.
very much. I'll see you soon.
Bye.